The latest news, updates, and more from the world of health and medicine. This is Medical Minutes, brought to you by Community Health Network.
Time for our morning checkup. The topic, aerophobia or aviophobia, fear of flying, which more people may be feeling lately with the news of recent plane crashes and near collisions. Dr. Janelle Gordon is Wish TV's medical expert. There's no question that these, well, frankly, in a couple cases, disasters and then those misses have stacked up in the news cycle lately. What do the overall trends really tell us about whether plane crashes are increasing?
So it is very concerning for a lot of us, myself included. I have a trip coming up and I'm like, oh gosh.
You are nervous.
A little bit nervous, right? And I've been flying since I was yay high. However, I do want viewers to know that nationally and internationally, actually, there's not an uptick in the amount of air collisions that we've seen. And transportation still says that it is safer to travel by air versus traveling by car. And so even though it seems like we have a cluster right now of a good amount of air collisions happening, not just in our nation, but even in other countries, it is not an uptick.
I have to tell you, I'm always a little consoled when a doctor says, yeah, I share that, whatever the issue is as well. So it may comfort some people to know that, yeah, even you feel that way. How many people have that feeling in America? Do we have an idea?
So it's good to distinguish between those of us who may have some jitters about an upcoming flight if we see some bad weather,
right,
or we've heard about mechanical issues for certain manufacturers of planes. However, there is a difference when it comes to individuals who have aerophobia or aviophobia. So this is a persistent and obsessive fear. And actually, Scott, it affects 25 million Americans annually.
So what is symptoms the right word? I mean, fear is fear, but are there ways that it manifests it in our bodies?
Sure. So myself, for example, I might be waiting at the airport and I get an alert, oh no, my flight's delayed. So I might think, well, gosh, what is it? I see some thunderstorms outside, is that it? But I'm not overwhelmed by it. It's not interfering what I'm trying to do at that moment. Those who have aviophobia or aerophobia, they might find themselves having rapid heart rates, difficulty breathing, some upset stomach, maybe even vomiting. They might find themselves constantly asking for reassurance about the safety of the plane, and this can begin prior to the flight and even during the flight. And I've had patients previously who had to travel across the nation and even internationally, and they would tell me with the layovers, they still found themselves, even during that period of pause, worried about, well, what's the next flight going to be like?
How do you handle that then? Is there treatment in the middle of it? Is it something you have to sort of address ahead of it?
So people will deal with it different ways. Some people will just flat out avoid it. I've had patients, again, who have actually canceled work travel, so it's affecting their pay. But they're like, Doc, I can't get on that plane, or I might be able to get on it, but I don't have to immediately get off, and I can't have them do an emergency landing. Others may find themselves depending on substances such as alcohol, which we don't recommend because it may feel like it's helping you in the short term, just like avoiding flights. However, in the long term, you could put yourself at increased risk for dependence on these substances. So what the recommended course of action is for individuals to have what we call CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's going to have an individual confront those fears and give them healthy coping mechanisms to hopefully be able to get over the fear. In the short term, sometimes we may give them a prescription for an anxiety medication. However, what's really going to help long term is that therapy.
I guess as a final question, so if you're not sure if you just have the normal nerves or if it goes outright to a phobia, talk to a physician?
Please talk. If you're not sure, again, you'll see more information in my article later today at wishtv.com. Please call up your healthcare team if you don't have one. Look to your local health departments or free clinics in your area.
That's your morning checkup. See the staff out front. They'll make your next appointment for you. We appreciate you spending time with us this morning, Dr. Janelle Gordon.
This is Medical Minutes, brought to you by Community Health Network.
Learn more and get more with Wish TV.
Online at wishtv.com, and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now.
Now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.